Somewhere Man, a fictional story by Damon Zwicker and Marcus Johnson. Chapter 1, Arkadelphia Blues. The sun hung low over downtown Arkadelphia, Arkansas, casting the place in the kind of warm light that made even a two-bit pawn shop look picturesque. It was a town that didn't try too hard, and Cody Steele liked that about it. The streets weren't bustling, but they weren't dead either, just a steady pulse of small-town life. Somewhere in the background, a cover of Johnny Cash's Arkansas Lovin' Man floated through the air, and damn if it didn't feel like the soundtrack to Cody's entire life. His boots hit the sidewalk with a steady, deliberate rhythm, the kind of boots that had seen better days but weren't ready to quit yet, not unlike the man wearing them. Cody's vintage Pagano West suit was as sharp as it was out of place here, its black and white threads making him look like he'd wandered off the set of some long-forgotten rockabilly biopic. The pompadour, still immaculate. The Roy Orbison shades, hiding more than just the sun. Cody strutted down that sidewalk like a guy who'd been on top once and hadn't quite gotten the memo he wasn't anymore. The bell on the door of Arkadelphia Pawn and Gun Shop jingled as Cody pushed it open. Inside, it smelled like old wood, gun oil, and bad decisions. Behind the counter stood Mr. Marcos, a man who looked like he'd been born with a cigar in his mouth and a grudge against the world. Cody didn't bother with small talk. He slapped a wad of cash on the counter like it owed him money. "I need my stuff back," he said, his voice gravelly enough to sand wood. Marcos didn't blink, just reached under the counter and pulled out the goods. First up, a gold ring so gaudy it could double as a hood ornament. It read "High School Dropout" in big, proud letters, flanked by a bass clef on one side and a treble clef on the other. The top? GED 1994, encrusted in enough diamonds to make it a statement piece. Cody slid it onto his finger like it belonged there. Next came a gold chain with a TCB lightning bolt pendant. Cody picked it up, the chain's weight familiar in his hand. "My good luck charm," he muttered, more to himself than anyone else. "And don't forget the difference," Cody added, his tone sharper now. Marcos's weathered hands placed a nickel-plated .45 and its magazine on the counter. Cody picked up the gun, checked the chamber with the kind of ease that came from years of practice, and slid the magazine in with a satisfying click. He didn't holster it, though. Not yet. Finally, the crown jewel, a hard guitar case. Cody spun it around, popped the latches, and opened it to reveal a 1956 Gretsch 6120 Chet Atkins hollow body guitar. The orange finish gleamed like it had just been buffed. The F-holes cut so perfectly it was almost obscene. Cody ran his hand over the guitar, his touch reverent. Then with a quick motion, he slid the .45 into a hidden compartment in the case. He snapped the lid shut and gave Marcos a nod. "Thank you kindly, Mr. Marcos. Always appreciate your grace." Back outside, the sunlight seemed a little harsher. Cody walked down the sidewalk, Arkadelphia moving at its usual unhurried pace around him. He fished a prescription bottle from his coat pocket, shook out a couple of pills, and swallowed them dry. One pill slipped through his fingers and hit the pavement. Cody bent down, picked it up, dusted it off, and popped it into his mouth like it was the most natural thing in the world. The city bus screeched to a halt at the corner, and Cody climbed aboard. He slumped into a seat, the guitar case resting beside him. The bus rattled and groaned as it rolled through town. But Cody wasn't paying attention to the scenery. His mind was elsewhere. The bus finally stopped in front of J.V. Schott's gun shop. Cody stepped off, his boots hitting the pavement with that same steady rhythm. Inside, the shop smelled like gunpowder and testosterone. Cody leaned on the counter, flashing a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. "How about a box of them nickel-plated .45s, please?" he said, his voice dripping with charm. The clerk handed over the ammo without a word. Cody paid and headed to the adjoining gun range. The sharp crack of gunfire filled the air as Cody fired round after round. Each shot was precise, controlled. The kind of shooting that said, "I've done this before and I'll do it again." When he was done, he packed up and headed back to the bus. The ride through Arkadelphia was quiet, the sun dipping lower in the sky. Cody leaned back in his seat, the weight of his guitar case pressing against his leg. The town rolled past the window, familiar and unchanged. For a man like Cody Steele, though, familiarity was a double-edged sword. He might have been home, but the road was still calling, and Cody wasn't the type to ignore the call.